This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Let's go right to line number one. And Paul, you're on the air.
Morning, how are you?
Good morning. You're on the road, I assume.
I am. I'm traveling to St. John's there now. My daughter actually is out to the health science here now. She got medevaced from Grand Falls Hospital last night. I'll begin with the story here. A couple of weeks ago, she went to the emergency in Grand Falls. It was determined that she had a kidney infection. The doctor at the time put her on IV. She had to go to the public health for a couple of days. That never made no improvement. She went back to the emergency in Grand Falls. At that time, there was neither urologist on. At that time, the doctor that was on the emergency sent a request to Cornerbrook for him to take my daughter to do a procedure to install a stent so they can drain the infection. The doctor over in Cornerbrook denied my daughter of a service. He said that she'll be okay. She can wait until the urologist gets in Grand Falls. So after that, she stayed in the emergency room in Grand Falls on a bed in the hallway for 3 days before the urologist got on in Grand Falls. They inserted the stent to drain the infection. They sent her home, said that the infection will drain. He'll go back in. It was caused from a kidney stone. He said he'll remove the stone, everything will be tickety-boo. I left in myself, and I went back to work. I flew out of the province. The very next day, she wasn't getting better. She went back to the emergency in Grand Falls, and they admitted her. She spent another 2-3 days in emergency, in the hallway, on a bed. They moved her from emergency to intensive care in Grand Falls. Every day when they were taking blood work, she was getting worse and worse. This past weekend, the fluid started building up into her body, her feet, her legs, her hands, her face. Everything was swollen up, and she started to get fluid into her lungs. They had to give her a blood transfusion because her blood was just way out of whack, and she was having difficulty breathing, and they had to put her on oxygen. It got to the point there that me and my wife was there advocating to get her to St. John's to health science, and the doctor that was in the ICU over the weekend agreed and tried to get her to St. John's. It took 2 days for them to get a bed, and this whole time she was slowly getting worse and worse. So last night, she left the Grand Falls Hospital in an ambulance. They brought her to Gander, put her in an airplane, and medevaced her to St. John. She's out there now to the health science. So I'm actually on the road to go out there to see her. Both the doctor and the nurses in the emergency, and both the doctor and the nurses in ICU told me that if that doctor in Cornerbrook would have took my daughter to install that stent, we wouldn't be in the position that we're into now. My daughter is 25 years old. She was a healthy girl before she went into the hospital. She's a mother of two. She's got an infant baby that's 15 months old that she was actually nursing at the time before she went into that hospital. Because of all the medications and all the whatever they're doing with her, she had to abruptly stop breastfeeding of that infant child. Me and my wife and my son-in-law, 3 of us is off of work to try to help her along and take care of these kids. And I tell you, from this moment on, I'm going to be an advocate for the healthcare system in this province. That doctor, in my mind, has got to be held accountable, and I'm not going to stop. And I'd like to pass out my email address to anybody in this province that's got a similar story, and it doesn't necessarily have to be from that hospital or that doctor. And together, we can make a difference in this province. And my email address is Paul Healy, and that's Healey 13, the number 13, at gmail.com. Over this past weekend, I made an email. I sent an email to the Premier, the Health Minister, and I also sent it to the College of Physicians and Surgeons. I also tagged my local MHA, Chris Tibbs, on that email. I left my email address and my personal cell phone number for anybody to to reach out to me. Want me to tell you something? Crickets. Nobody reached out to me. So I'm going to direct this here to you, Chris Gibbs. When the next provincial election comes around, I'm going to chase your ass around, and when you knocks on the door, I'm going to knock on the door behind you. When you pass it up.
Oh, no, Paul. You're still there. Okay, good. Sorry.
Yeah.
Paul, look, as a father, who has a 25-year-old as well, I can't imagine. This is an absolute nightmare, and I'd be doing everything exactly as you're doing it. My only thing, you're probably getting crickets because, there are nervous people when these things happen. There could be, legal ramifications and all the rest of it. So they have to stop and pause and be very careful and cover themselves, make sure they don't get in trouble with any correspondence or any kind of communication they might make, because it could come back to haunt them. Or they want to get all their ducks in a row and find out all the information and how this went sideways. I'm so sorry for what I can't imagine. The parents, I can't imagine what you're going through.
I understand that what you're saying there, but the thing is that when you reach out to your member, you could at least reach it back with some compassion and say that they're looking into it. But like I said, I'm going to start my own campaign. It's going to be ABC, anybody but Chris. And I'll be chasing him around. And like I said, I'm going to be an advocate for the healthcare system from this moment on.
Paul,
enough is enough.
Yeah, and I said it right off the top. I was talking about something different, the communication aspect. Even if it's not good or bad or you're not sure what's going on, at least respond. I was talking about the open line emails, but I'll at least flick a note to say, I got it, I'm sorry, or I'll do what I can, and I'll get back to you. Something. But no response at all is pretty cold, I will admit. I don't care who the MHA, I don't care who the person is. In a situation that you're in, and I'm sure you detailed the whole thing in your email to the people that you copied, including the Premier, once you would see that, how you wouldn't at least respond with a sympathetic note of, look, we're going to do whatever we can to get to the bottom of it. That doesn't lock you in legally or anything. It at least just shows that you care.
Exactly. These are elected officials, and these are the ones that driving the ship in this province. When a taxpayer of this province reaches out to a member, they should at least reach back.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
And there's
That's only one part of that here. The healthcare system is what the problem is. I'm after hearing multiple stories of different people with different stories and stuff like that here. So let me tell you something. This is the voice of the common man. And I tell you, if we all rally together, we can make change here. Because I don't know what happened to the healthcare system in Newfoundland, but it's not going up, it's going down, and it's getting worse and worse every single day. We're paying these doctors top dollar, and for him to refuse a medical procedure on a patient is not good enough in my book. You wouldn't treat a dog like that. This stage.
And I'm loath to get into any of the details, like medically, because again, whether it was kidney stone in the beginning, or did you determine that was a cause of it and it went south from there, or do you know at this point what the initial issue was?
It all started originally from that kidney stone, and the infection started.
Okay. Yeah, and that's about as far.
She's out there now. Her kidneys are failing, and they're starting to talk about dialysis. That's why she's in St. John's there now. She's 25 years old. She got 2 children of her own. Healthy girl.
And as you said, right, there was no previous. Did she have anything pre-existing?
She had 0. She was a healthy girl right up until this point.
So that would ring true when people say this could happen to anyone, God forbid. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, when I flew back to Newfoundland Wednesday, I actually landed in Gander at 2 a.m. I went directly to the hospital in Grand Falls. I never left her side. Yeah. And I tell you, it doesn't matter if she's 5 or 25 years old. That's my little baby girl in that bed. And if there's any parent that's out there that actually leaned over a hospital bed to their child, they know exactly how I'm feeling. And it's definitely not a good feeling.
Oh God, Paul, it is the worst parent's nightmare. It's just the thought that you're helpless and you can't help, and you can't do anything to help your child, your daughter, your son, whatever. There's nothing like it in the world. The world stops for you, and you have.
I'd like to say one thing now before I go.
Sure.
It's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog. And I tell you, this is the first time that I've ever spoken up, but this will be it will not be the last time that my name will be mentioned, because I tell you, starting right here today, I am not stopping until that doctor is held accountable, and this do not happen to another family in this province.
I don't blame you one single bit. paulhealy13@gmail.com, Healey.
That's correct, yep.
paulhealy13@gmail.com. Anyone out there wants to share your story or send a note to Paul and for what their family is going through right now, maybe you can completely relate. I am sure there are many out there who can. Paul, as I always say, if you ever do get a response from Mr. Tibbs or anyone else in government, let us know.
I will so. And like I said, I'll be a frequent caller, and I'll let this province know exactly how this progress of this is going to pan out. Because, like I said, she is not in very good shape. When your daughter looks at you multiple times and with a really weak voice, Dad, I'm sick.
Oh, God.
Dad, I'm sick. It's not a good feeling. I tell you that.
It's a horrible feeling. Paul, I wish...
That doctor in St. John's is definitely going to remember me. I guarantee it, because as far as I'm concerned, he should be stripped. He should be stripped of that title and job. And I'm not going to stop.
I know you'll get to the bottom of it, but in the meantime, I wish you nothing but the best. You got my prayers for your daughter. I can't imagine being in this situation that you're in today, on the way to the hospital like this, to, and your daughter being in that situation. Nothing but the best, Paul. You got all the prayers here. I wish you nothing but the best, buddy.
All right. Thank you very much for taking my call.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Line number 2, and Kyle, you're on the air.
Hi, good day, sir. I just first wanted to wish the best to that previous caller and what he's going through.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure everyone under their breath or even out loud is saying the same thing. God forbid we should find ourselves in a situation like that.
Yes. So I'm calling about a lobster food fishery. Back in March, I made a post on a Facebook group asking what the support would be for a lobster food fishery for residents of Newfoundland, Labrador. And based on that, I then started a lobster food fishery NL Facebook page to start a discussion on if that could move forward in the province. From that, I then created a House of Commons petition to go to Ottawa to see if we could get the Ministry of Fisheries and Oceans to establish a lobster food fishery. The reason I kind of started this is, like, right now Canada has highest food inflation amongst the G7 countries, so to have another food resource available would be extremely helpful for the residents of Newfoundland and Labrador. I did some research on it. The lobster stock is healthy, and that's according to a Fisheries and Oceans Canada research document. And also, while doing the research, lobster food fisheries exist in other countries. Even close to home, they exist. For example, Norway has a lobster food fishery. Maine, St. Pierre and Miquelon, they're allowed 6 traps, 4 lobsters a day, and they're, of course, just right off our shores. BC doesn't have lobster, but they have shellfish. They're allowed to go get crab. They're allowed to get a license. The main opposing argument I was seeing was that people would abuse it, and that may very well be true, but that's a DFO responsibility. That's an enforcement issue. And it's no reason to deny people access to food that's within our oceans.
Yes. So go ahead. Sorry.
Just so where I'm at now with it is I'm trying to get this House of Commons petition sent to Ottawa. And I went with my MP, who is MP Clifford Small, and he made sense to me. Not only is he my MP, but he's the shadow minister for Fisheries and Oceans. But MP Clifford Small, and like the previous caller had alluded to, has been ignoring me since March. I've reached out to him by phone, email, visited the constituency office. I even ran into him in Tullingate, and he just outright lied to me, saying he'd get back to me within a week, and then has ignored me. He won't respond to any messages, and just basically now I have to go outside of the province to look for an MP to authorize this petition, because only an MP can authorize a House of Commons petition to get into the Parliament. So it's kind of where I'm at, and the discussion that is going on about it is good. And even MP Clifford Small said to me that he believes the majority of Newfoundland and Labradorians would support a lobster food fishery.
Yeah, and I'll be perfectly blunt and honest. I've been trying to get a hold. I sent Clifford Small's office a note last week asking for some kind of information. I mean, he's been a little bit missing in action for us as well. And I can't say for sure whether it has to do with the fact that he and his company are being sued, and this goes to his Smitty Restaurants chain, being sued for almost $400,000 in unpaid taxes, rent and taxes and restaurant rents. Statements of claim been filed, by both the property owner and the city of Mount Pearl. And his parliamentary office, continues to just decline comment or not return emails. That's not a good place, and it's not a good look for an MP. I mean, you're either the MP and you're responsible and you're accountable, or you're not. And if you're going through personal difficulties, man, transparency, openness, speak to it, get out in front of it. It's too late for that now, because it's been flicking around now for a few weeks since the news first broke of that, and still no comment. And we've asked him for comment here, and I know other media have been able to reach him as well. So that might be a dead end for you at this point, by all accounts. But it's hard enough. I'm sure you're aware of the struggles that even there is a food fishery for recreational cod fishery, and or residential, I should say. I'd prefer to say instead of recreational. And they're having a hell of a time just trying to get a little bit more loosened up rules there. So just opening up that conversation for a new species such as lobster and a food fishery, it might be. That's an arduous task at best at this point, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm definitely going to take it on. I'm a veteran. I have the time to do it. And it's an important issue to me, especially when food is hard to get on the table. You go to the grocery store and the prices just keep going up. And about MP Clifford Small, he even admitted to me that the union was powerful, right? So he's trying to play both sides of it, and he's not. I expect my MP to at least provide a response. An MP is under no obligation to authorize the petition, but I at least expect a yes or no, and he won't even do that, right? And I don't know where you go, and it's a shame that an MP from Newfoundland and Labrador won't give you an answer. I even reached out to MP Jonathan Rowe. He has said no for me to go with my MP, which is Clifford Small. And, well, I'm telling him MP Small is not responding. So what am I supposed to do?
And did he respond to that question?
No, and I did leave it at him. I said, well, if I cannot get a hold of MP Small, and before I leave the province to another MP, do you want to take another look at that and maybe take that on, right? So that we're looking like it's a Newfoundland and Labrador issue, and we're kind of leading the way on this instead of going to another MP outside of Newfoundland and Labrador. Yeah,
just not getting a response from, and, it's not like it's a government MP, a minister or anything like that. You'd think they'd be going to bat for you on any issue that comes up, and just a response. So I will say again, though, if any of these personal issues he's having are interfering with his job as an MP, then he's got to fish or cut bait, if you'll excuse the pun.
Yes, I agree.
It's time to get off, just at least respond. We had the same, as you referenced the caller before you, Paul, who's having the very difficult, nightmarish time with his daughter in hospital, and just trying to get a response to anyone, including his MHA. So where is everyone? All this openness and transparency that they all claim and they all shout from the mountaintops just before an election, and boom, gone. Crickets, as Paul said, and as apparently you're suggesting. Yes,
exactly. The response when I went around to get signatures on the petition, right, it was overwhelmingly in support of people being able to go out and get some food out of that ocean. But a lot of the pushback, like I said, is people saying that, no, it's going to be abused and you're going to have people going out and get a free-for-all for whatever they want, but it's really not the case. There's examples where it exists, that it works, and for example, Maine, I was speaking to a fisherman from Maine, and they said they didn't even know a lobster food fishery existed there, and they were a commercial fisherman in Maine.
Yeah.
So it definitely works.
Yeah, the resource too. I mean, it's not as plentiful as it might be in some jurisdictions. It is a strong resource, and it's great lobster we have in this province. But compared to the cod or, say, shrimp or crab, it's the third or fourth down the pecking order. No offense. And then when you talk about, DFO can regulate it, that gives people the chill right up the spine.
Yes, it does, but it's just like, you're driving on the road, people speed, but we're not going to ban driving, there has to be enforcement, and people have to have a bit of integrity themselves and not abuse the system so that it's not ruined for everyone.
In a perfect world, absolutely, Kyle. Not abuse the system. Wow. I think, that's where we run into problems, right? That's when the regulation begins and the over-regulation.
Yes, sir.
So listen, keep up the good fight. If you do get a response from Clifford Small, I'd be interested. And if we get one, you'll hear all about it right here. But keep me in the loop there, Kyle. I look forward to it.
That'd be great. And if people can look at the Lobster Food Fishery NL Facebook group, I have outlined in great detail the journey and the dealings I've had with MP Small and provide regular updates there.
Yeah, we're right in the thick of the lobster season now, actually. I mean, it's a short window. It's like 6 to 8 weeks, or I'm just trying to remember now off the top of my head. Yeah, I can't, not even sure now. I don't want to say 8 to 10 weeks. I think it runs from April to July. I hate to even say that because I know I'll get the nasty emails correcting me. But like April to mid-July anyway, and that depends on ice and all the rest of it. I think it's lobster fishing area 13A on the West Coast. But keep us in the loop, and whatever you get, I always say that, but and it sounds ad nauseum to some people, but it really is important to get follow-up calls to let us know what you get if you get anywhere with it.
Will do.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
We are all over the good news here on Open Line lately, as you've probably heard me say. I'm going to beat it till I can't beat it anymore on this open line kick, on the positivity that we want to spread and share, and any kind of news you have along those lines, we're all over it, such as what's going on at Botanical Gardens these days. And the David and Robert Children's Education Endowment Fund is good news for sure. And joining us on the program to talk all about it is Dr. David Philpott and Robert Power. And we got 2 or 3 guests to talk about it all the way. But good morning, Dr. David Philpott. How are you?
We're good, thank you. How are you?
Great.
Good morning.
Thank you. I think Robert's joining you there. Your husband, Robert Power, is on the line as well. God love you, both of you, for making time for the show. I'm going to not take up all the time on this. I want you to tell me all about the David and Robert Children's Education Endowment Fund at Botanical Garden for people who have never heard of it before.
Well, Robert and I are both retired educators. Robert spent 30 years in teaching in an elementary school. I spent my career dealing with children who struggled in the regular classroom, vulnerable learners who school was not an enjoyable experience for, and an easy experience. So we're at a point in our lives in which our financial people were advising us to do estate planning, do up our wills and stuff like that, and we don't have our own children. So we were looking around for where do we leave some money? Where do we leave, our investments to? So we're looking at different organizations and charitable causes that we've been involved in over the years. And one day last fall, I was having lunch at the cafe at the Botanical Gardens, and I noticed a school group of children coming out after having been in this garden that morning. And they were all laughing and jumping around and hugging one another and having fun and engaged and excited. I didn't see anyone that was upset. I didn't see anyone that was isolated or alone or marginalized or, inattentive or off task or acting up. They were all happy, engaged learners. And I came home and said, Robert, my God, isn't that what we've spent our career trying to build? So we approached the Garden Centre about making a donation, and lo and behold, several months later, we have settled on this endowment idea with their help and their support. They've been great to deal with.
It's incredible. Like, my daughter did the Botanical Gardens summer programs too. We lived right there, just down the road, down Groves Road, when she was growing up. So we would walk up on beautiful sunny mornings in the summer. I was doing contract work, some of the best days of our life, walking up there, and she going in to do the program. And again, as you said, right? That day, that full day of nature, fresh air, in such a wonderful surroundings at the Botanical Garden. It is a gem of a place, and there's nothing like the feeling of being able to give back, I would suggest, hey?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to make sure, the only caveat we put on the endowment was that it go right into the hands of the educators, that they decide what they need to buy this year to help support the learning for the children. So that was the only caveat we had.
And I was an elementary school teacher for years too, for 30 years, and I know the value of taking children out into nature, getting them out of the classroom, the excitement that goes along with it, the learning that you can't do in a classroom. And I also know as a teacher that, yes, there's always money there for the infrastructure, for fixing the school, for doing the parking lot, for all that sort of thing. There isn't always the money there for actually putting into what the teacher needs in the classroom. So that's why we went that route.
I'm so glad you chirped in there, Robert. I was going to say, I didn't want to leave you out of the conversation. And we have a third on the line as well, someone who I'm sure is immensely, has immense gratitude for the decision that you've made. Kim Shipp, are you there?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. Kim is director, of course, I believe, of botanical at the Memorial University Botanical Garden. I hope that's correct.
That is.
Trying to get the titles right. What was your first thought when you learned of this endowment?
Well, you use the word gratitude, and that feels like it falls short when you work with amazing people like Robert and David. It's just an incredible gift.
Yeah, and to come from teachers who know how much it means and listen to them describe it. I mean, this is about the kids who come through that program and people learning, just getting a better appreciation for it's just a learning environment unlike any other, really, isn't it?
Well, it's so true, and I can tell you, I just watched 80 school children walk past my office window coming to the garden this morning on this miserable day, and you would think it was the sun was splitting the rocks. They're loud and joyful. It's pretty fabulous. Yeah,
no, I know exactly what you mean. They don't. It doesn't bother them like it does adults. They just put on the raincoats. They're all together. They're completely oblivious to the weather. They're there for the trip, no question. These are field trips every day. I can't even imagine. Like I said, my daughter went through it, and she was a better person for it at the end of every day. So I can't thank the both of you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So tell me again, how will this, how will this go to the longevity of the garden?
Well, it's an incredible gift, and as Robert and David have said, their contributions are going straight into our education team, and we develop new programs every year and enhance the programs that we have, and so you're just going to see more amazing things coming from that team and all kinds of fabulous programs that everyone in the community can participate in. This year we're launching, with their help, a new program called the Story Forest, so stay tuned with more details about that, but it's really about being embedded in nature and talking and telling stories about nature in our boreal forest. And it's paired with an art exhibit that we're doing that's supported by a different endowment. So it's just, it's incredible. The people like David and Robert and others just make us up here on Mount Zion so proud and feel like a real part of the community.
And I'm, the reporter in me, I'm looking just down through some information. Is there is there an amount? Because people might be listening to the radio and go, well, it's an endowment, but how much are they actually providing? Is that a safe question?
Well, we prefer not to disclose that information, but we set it up so that the fund can start distributing money immediately. So this year, the educators will get, an endowment. They'll get a lump of money to start spending immediately.
So an initial kind of investment off the top.
Yes, and then when our estate gets dissolved eventually, a large portion of our estate will go to that fund, so that long after we're gone, long after anyone recognizes our names or even know who we are, there's going to be children in that garden having fun, and the educators will be getting money each year, and the fund will grow. So the amount of money that they get each year will grow as well. So that's the exciting part of this, the lasting impact.
And within about 3 to 5 years, it will be self-sustaining. So there will be enough there to actually feed the program each year. But we will kind of top it up until that point.
Yeah, well, look, as I mentioned off the top, and since I've taken over sort of this, taken over the show, we are trying to insert and inject good news as much as we possible. possibly can, and this is right up that alley. So I can't thank you enough for all three of you making time for the program today. I look forward to a visit soon. As I said, we lived up there when my daughter was raising my daughter, and it was nothing like it. Whether between the Botanical Gardens and the O'Brien Farm, and that's where we spent a lot of our time walking back and forth. And it's like the farm in the middle of the city. That area. You're
we're the city's backyard.
Yeah, you're right in the middle, but you're actually not. You're right in the woods,
right.
And all that boreal forest, as you said, and all that kind of rural nature. If you couldn't get out of town and make a weekend of it, it was right there in our backyard. So we loved every bit of it. Thanks all again for the time this morning. Keep up the good work and keep the good news coming.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number 4, and Robin, you're on the air.
Yes, hello, Brian. Continuing on the theme of unresponsive elected officials, I think Joanne Thompson takes the cake. She does not respond to emails. She does not return phone calls. Her office is effectively closed. Except she has installed a spy camera on those who dare to approach her office door. So she sends out brochures saying how much she's doing, but she's totally unresponsive to constituents who want to talk to her about federal legislation such as this oppressive Bill C-9, the so-called anti-hate bill, which is really against free speech. She's totally unresponsive, and she doesn't respond. And I've been trying to get a meeting with her for years, literally years, without success. So I'm amazed that people vote for her.
Years is a long time, Robin. I'm just wondering, when you mentioned, and we say these things kind of offhanded, when you say spy cameras outside her office, I mean, surveillance cameras or just security cameras these days, especially around politicians' offices, I would say, sadly, it's necessary. You call them spy cameras. Is it just...
come on.
Well, hold on. I'm just asking, is it just the usual surveillance video like that anyone would have, whether it's a commercial business or a politician's office?
Well, I don't know. It's a camera that was installed when some incidents occurred in Ontario, isolated incidents, and suddenly the politicians have all kinds of money to install surveillance cameras at their offices. Now, I think it's ridiculous in this particular constituency to have a spy camera installed to look at who's ever approaching their office. And besides, their office is closed. There's no response there. Why does she need a camera when she doesn't even open the door?
Because times have changed, Robin. I don't begrudge her at all.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, go for it. What's the argument against? What's the argument against having surveillance video outside a politician's office these days?
Constituency, I've been trying for years to get a meeting with this woman about Bill C-9.
Yep, the combating.
And before that, Bill C-63, the anti-free speech bills. And this is important legislation, and she does not respond.
Yeah, look, as I said before, I'm with you there. No response is not a good response. It's not a good way of handling anything, especially if there are big, as you said, the Bill C-9, the combating hate bill, and whatever else. It doesn't matter what you're trying to reach your MP about. If you're trying to make an effort and they don't respond and you can't reach them, it boggles my mind only because, elections are coming around, and look, I get the flyers from MP Thompson. I'm in her riding, so I get the regular flyers. I've never had to reach out for any reason other than as a reporter. And when I have, I've gotten a response. But that's obviously very different than the average person who might just have a general question. I agree with you. If there's no response, that's a problem. Where I do have a problem is the pejorative language around spy cameras. I don't think that's...
Well, it is a spy camera.
It's surveillance video, right, for security reasons around a politician's office. Look, I don't begrudge any of them these days. There is a change in the societal way we deal with politicians for some people, and it's become very dangerous, and it has just changed. And you have to be careful, and you have to have proper security. And look, Ring doorbells, you could call them spy cameras, couldn't you?
Well, they're not elected officials.
No, but I'm just saying the camera...
official.
Yeah, I understand. Even more so, I would suggest that some level of security is necessary, isn't it? Especially for a federal minister of the Crown? Especially for the fisheries minister.
Well, I've been trying to reach her when she was an ordinary MP, before she was over-promoted to fisheries minister, for which she's totally incompetent. But I've been reaching out to her when she was an ordinary MP. I still get no response at all.
Have you ever had any correspondence with MP Thompson at all, like even verbally, on the phone, in person at all? Have you ever had any correspondence?
No.
None?
No.
Well, it might have something to do with the fact that you've already called her completely incompetent. I don't know. I mean, that's... neither here nor there. They should still respond. There's no question. I'm with you 100%. Some kind of response, absolutely. Whether it's, please stop emailing, anything. But again, the camera thing I have an issue with. I don't begrudge any politician for having security around either their offices or their homes these days. It has changed. It's a toxic, scary environment out there.
Well, her door is closed. There's a poster on the door saying if you want a meeting, you need to send an email and request a meeting. Well, what's the point of that? Because she doesn't respond to emails.
Well, again,
phone call.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Robin. If she may just not be responding to you, she may not be responding to other people as well.
No. I have not been critical of her till now, and all the months and months and months trying to get a hold of her, she wouldn't know me from Adam.
Well, she might. I mean, you've written some pretty, controversial emails and letters to the editor in the past. I've read some of your editors in the past, so you have strong opinions and that sort of thing. I'm sure she has a knowledge, and you had a good legal career going for what? If I'm speaking to the same Robin that I know in the legal realm for many years, did you not?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, and fine legal career. So I'm sure she has some awareness of you and your existence, but
I doubt it.
Well, maybe not, but I would certainly invite the MP because, I've found her, as a journalist to be open and accessible. But these days, and people think they get really upset, when a minister doesn't respond to an email. The minister, wouldn't normally respond to an email anyway. They have constituency offices and parliamentary offices and other ways they can be reached through their staff. But a federal minister of the Crown, especially the fisheries minister in this province, that can be a little bit of a tangly portfolio sometimes because you're trying to, serve the masters up along and your home province. So there's always a tangle there. They'll never be satisfied no matter what you did, whether it's the recent food fishery decisions or other decisions. But it is a problem if you're not getting any response for no reason, Robin. So I'm with you there. And look, the MP Thompson's more than welcome to call this program and explain why, they have cameras or why that they don't get back to people in an efficient time. I'm not sure, but I welcome her response to that.
Well, all I can say is that I would like to talk to her about this Bill C-9, this anti-free speech bill. And I think it's very important.
You're talking about that. That's for people who don't know. That's the Combating Hate Act, which you call an infringement on free speech.
Yes.
Well, yep.
It removes the necessity of having the consent of the Attorney General in terms of prosecution of so-called a hate crime. It expands the meaning of hate. It removes any defense of religious belief. And it is just a terrible punishment for words, not deeds.
Well, and not holus bolus either, not all-encompassing, because it also bans things like the public display of symbols associated with terrorism and extremist groups, specifically Nazi symbols. So, I don't think it's all that bad.
Well, why should these politicians determine what is a terrorist symbol? What about the communist hammer and sickle? It killed more people than the so-called Nazis did. Who are these politicians to tell us what we can display or can't display? It should be open for public debate, not the whims of politicians deciding what you can display. For example, I collect toy soldiers. Some of those toy soldiers have a little Nazi flag. So am I to expect a knock on the door because my toy soldiers have a Nazi flag?
Yeah, I think
how absurd. How absurd, how stupid it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that was the case, what you just described, yeah, that might be absurd and stupid. But there are realities out there that hate is becoming so much more ubiquitous and scary and in your face and in the powers of...
What? How many Nazi flags have you had seen waved in your face?
You don't have to see a Nazi flag waved in your face to know what it is, Robin, I would suggest. And these days... People are smart. People are smart. It's masked in different ways. I can assure you of that. They know what the pushback is, and they're smart. They're not going to start waving a Nazi flag because they know what that means. But there are other ways to promote their causes without a flag of the Nazi flag. Others more extreme. They'll do it. They don't care. But look, and you ask who are the politicians to regulate this? Well, they're the elected politicians. We elected them. They have
the ones like... The ones like Joanne Thompson who don't respond, who totally ignore.
That's a problem.
You, and have spy cameras at their office door, which they don't open anyway.
Loud and clear, Robin. I gotcha. I hear you.
So there's my frustration. Joanne Thompson takes the cake in terms of being a politician who does not do her job. Her main job is to respond to the concerns of her constituents, which she manifestly is not doing. And I speak of a time also where she was not the Minister of Fisheries, where for years she was our MP, or an ordinary MP. She still did not respond.
Well,
and
yep, so
she takes the cake.
Well, she's more than welcome.
The cake.
She's more than well. If you look at my emails this morning, it's not just her taking the cake. And they'll have their cake and eat it too, I guess. But look, Robin, I got to get off to the break. I appreciate the call, and not only that, I appreciate a call from MP Thompson to explain, if she needs to explain, why, if she isn't responding to emails, why she's not doing it. Thanks for the call.
Well, I'd like to add on her voicemails, she boasts about how you will be contacted, we will return your call, and that's a blatant lie. She doesn't.
Well, I invite her onto the program to respond, and the staff are listening, whether it's MP Thompson or any member of her staff, or an email even to explain if they're not responding to emails, why not. I welcome that call.
All right.
Take care. Thanks, Robin. Appreciate the call.
All right.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
The callers are always priority here on Open Line. And let's go right to one now. Line 5, Colin, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir. How are you on this Monday?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm, weather is the weather. It's been worse.
That's it. You got to deal with what you're given, right?
Absolutely. The cards you're dealt. Couldn't agree more, Colin.
Yep.
What's on your mind today?
I want to talk about the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, their policy on the retention of fingerprints and photographs for people who are charged with certain criminal offences.
Sure.
This information is on their website, so you can look this up when you get a chance. If you're in this country, if you're charged with an indictable criminal offence, the police have the authorization under the Identification of Criminals Act to take your fingerprints and your photographs.
Yeah, and just for people who aren't completely aware, right, the difference between indictable and summary offence, indictable is the more serious.
That's right. Yeah, carries a greater penalty upon conviction, and it triggers the fingerprints and photographs mechanism set out in the Identification of Criminals Act, right. Which, by the way, they have the authority to take your fingerprints and photographs if you're charged with or convicted of an indictable offence. I find the title for that legislation to be offensive, actually. It's an affront to the presumption of innocence. You're not a criminal until you're found guilty and convicted of a crime. Couldn't
agree more. Ran into that so often. It's the most common complaint you'll get in passing down at the criminal courts when people say, I've been charged, but it's on my record. Not convicted, but charged.
Yep. And the RNC, and this is on their website, they will refuse to remove your fingerprints and photographs, not any other information associated with that file. So it will be your full name, your date of birth, address, anything else that they gather in subsequent to fingerprinting and photographing you that would go with that file. They refuse to remove your fingerprints and your photographs and any other information associated with that file. If you have been charged with, and they list a number of offences: first-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter, terrorism offences, aggravated assault, sexual assault, treason or high treason. For a minimum, they will retain those fingerprints and photographs and the other information associated with that file for a minimum of 5 years. And they will not remove it. Notwithstanding the fact that you've the most favourable outcome would be that you've been acquitted of the offence for which you were charged with.
Yeah, and at which point you can request, from my knowledge, a destruction of your fingerprints and photos. Sorry, go ahead. Yep.
No, sorry, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, no, you can do it for non-convictions, and they say, I think there's something like mitigating or some kind of circumstances, whether it's public safety risk or pending. Maybe you have other charges pending or those sorts of. There are nuances there, but for the most part, if you're cleared of it, you should have the right to have it destroyed.
That's right, and then the vast majority of people who are charged and ultimately end up with a non-conviction outcome, be that an acquittal or the charge is withdrawn by the Crown or stayed by the Crown, and the charge is still active for up to 1 year with the Crown stay of proceedings. And after that 1 year, you're deemed to have never been charged with the offence.
Yeah, of course, that's and with the stay of proceedings, just so people know as well, that it's still 1 year, is it not, that the Crown can revisit the charge?
That's right. Yeah. Up to 1 year. That's still a live charge. They can bring it back to court and reinstitute that original charge. That's right. But after that 1 year, Section 579 of the Criminal Code states that you are deemed to have never been charged with that offence. And obviously, if the Crown withdraws the charge or any other non-conviction outcome. But the thing is, if you're charged with one of these offences that they list on the website, say sexual assault or murder, and you plead not guilty, which is your right.
Right.
You have a trial on the merits, which is your right, and you are found not guilty by a judge or a jury, and the Crown and subsequently acquitted, and the Crown either appeals the acquittal and loses in an appellate court, or they decide not to appeal, so the acquittal at the trial level stands. The Supreme Court of Canada said that's a finding of innocence.
Yeah.
Acquittal is a finding of innocence in this country. And you apply, like you just said, to the RNC after your acquittal, and you wait for the 30-day period for the Crown to appeal the acquittal, and they don't appeal, or they do and they eventually lose. The RNC are going to retain your fingerprints and your photographs associated with that murder charge you're no longer charged, by the way. You've been acquitted now, or the charge was dropped or withdrawn or whatever. They're going to hold that and retain that file and all the associated information with those fingerprints and photographs for a minimum of 5 years. That information is then passed on once you're charged, the initial charging phase, and your fingerprint and your photograph and the other information that's gathered by the charging police agency. That information is also sent to the RCMP in Ottawa to their repository of criminal records, right?
You're correct.
So that's available to all police forces across the country. You know, they routinely check that in like traffic stops. You could be out in Vancouver, pull in, by the police out there. They're going to check that. That's going to pop up.
The CPIC, they call it, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Canadian Police Information Centre.
Correct.
That's exactly right. If you're going to cross an international border, particularly the United States, you've never been found guilty of anything, guess what? U.S. Customs, that's going to come up. They're going to have your fingerprints, your photographs, and anything else associated with that file. They're going to download that into their database.
Yeah. No,
you cannot get that removed. They will not remove it. I find that astounding. There should be legislation brought in federally under the Identification of Criminals Act to amend that act to address this situation where people who have never been found guilty of anything and have had their fingerprints and photographs taken by the police because they were charged with an indictable criminal offense. And by the way, you're compelled to do that. If you refuse to submit to fingerprinting and photographing, that's a criminal charge in and of itself.
Refusal of any, absolutely.
Yeah, And this is just enormous. This is an enormous problem, and they refuse to do that. And after that 5-year period, there's still no guarantee that they will remove it. They could hold that indefinitely, right?
Yeah, I think you've got to go make an application, do you not? I'm pretty sure you'd have to make an application to the court. I see them on the docket from time to time. Unfortunately, it's not sometimes as pressing as some of the bigger cases work. So you never have the time to sit down and see how it'll go. They're usually pretty straightforward, but my God, you have to go to the court to do it. And the 5-year thing has never made sense to me either. Your life's on hold. Any travel you make, any kind of a job you apply for, it has the potential to completely throw a wrench into that through no fault of your own, even though you haven't been convicted and it's supposed to be off your record.
Absolutely, it's just an enormous and onerous burden on you, throughout the rest of your life potentially.
Yeah.
And like you said, you apply for employment or volunteer positions or international travel. This is going to show up.
Yeah, and they don't look for explanations. They just see it there, and no one takes chances these days that if anything shows up, whether or not it shows, nothing came of it. It's pending, expungement, if you will, or something like that. It doesn't matter to that organization that you're trying to get a job with, especially if it's a vulnerable sector check or a certified criminal records check.
Same thing. You're exactly right, and it's just absolutely. You're put in a position that you're acquitted, or the charge is withdrawn or dropped or whatever. You're never found guilty of anything, and you're put in a position now. You have to apply to the police and ask them to remove all that information, and if they don't agree, you're going to have to. You're left with no recourse but to mount a very expensive litigation process against the Department of Justice.
Yeah, and not just time-consuming, but just stressful. And the unknown and how it holds up your life, and no matter whatever endeavor you're trying to move on to, it is a maelstrom of a big problem because you're dealing with the police, you're dealing with the courts. You have to be careful, you have to be sensitive, you have to do it diplomatically, and you really need a lawyer ultimately if you want to do it right. And then there's money.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And, the people who end up not being convicted of anything or found guilty, whether it's an acquittal or withdrawal of the charge or stay proceedings or whatever, you're in the same, your information is being put in the same database as someone who's convicted of those offenses.
Yep. So you're lumped in with the same. Yeah, absolutely. It's a problem.
The Criminal Records Act, which is another piece of legislation that deals with record suspensions, formerly known as pardons. If you're found guilty of a crime, and you're given a discharge, an absolute discharge or a conditional discharge, there's legislation there's provisions in that act to remove your fingerprints and your photographs from the regular database and store them in a separate database, so they're not accessible to law enforcement. during routine investigations. And if you're ultimately convicted of a crime, there's a process in place for most offenses to apply for a record suspension after 5 years or 10 years, as the case may be. But with this, it's just we got your information on file for a mandatory minimum of 5 years, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no legislation to force the police to expunge that or purge that information or to suppress it or seal that information so that nobody can access that. I think there's a big privacy issue here too. It touches that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'm well over the break, Colin, but I 100% agree with you. It's one of those, I won't call it a loophole, but it's one that just flies over the radar until somebody, or under the radar, I should say, until somebody comes up against it and finds that they're in it, and then they have to, go through the hoops to try to get it fixed. I got to get off to the break, but I'll give you a quick 30 seconds.
It's just the federal government was responsible for this. It's the Identification of Criminals Act. That legislation needs to be amended so that people who are in these positions where they're never found guilty of anything, that there has to be a process, statutory process put in place whereby this information is removed after all appeal windows have closed and stuff like that, so that this information is just it's destroyed, right?
Absolutely. Loud and clear. Thanks, Colin. Always appreciate the call.
Cheers. Happy Monday.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
So just before we get to the next caller, I just have to read this email. So we were just talking about the Botanical Gardens, Robert Power and David Philpott, and their endowment to the Botanical Gardens, which is just a wonderful gesture on their part. And I got a beautiful email about that, keeping the good news going. And this is from Callista, and she says, what an incredible program. Listening to these two fine gentlemen this morning brought tears to my eyes. Such an act of kindness. This was a huge reminder to me that the world is indeed a beautiful place. Such an incredible gift with their contributions going straight to the program and starting immediately. Our daughter did a summer camp, as mine did, there as a child, and she loved it. This made my day. Trust me, David and Robert, no one will forget your names. You said there will be enough money to feed the program for years, but I can only imagine the minds that you will feed as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's from Callista. That's a great email. So thanks for that response, Callista, keeping the good news flowing. And on a completely different note, but I just want to throw this out there, and I've heard it on this show before, and you've heard people say it before, you never know what topic is going to grab people. And this morning it seems to be the missing in action MHAs and MPs not responding. And it boggles my mind because they have staff who can easily respond to an email, and it doesn't have to even be the answer they want. Most people just want a response and say, okay, they heard me. At least it's in their mind. You never know. Something might come of it. But radio silence or just nothing is never a good thing. No matter who you are, no matter what politician you are, you should respond. Just respond. Let's go right to line number 3. And Ronnie, you're on the air.
I'm getting $175 every 2 weeks. I can't live out state.
175 every 2 weeks. So what's that 175, Ronnie? What is that? Social assistance, some kind, or?
Yeah, social assistance. Yeah.
Right, and so okay, are you living here in the province?
Yeah, I'm living in Kilbride.
And 175 every 2 weeks?
Yeah, every 2 weeks. You can't live half a day.
And so, are you living in assisted living? I mean, in a subsidised housing or living, or?
No, I'm living in a bed sitting room.
In a bed sitting room, and who pays your rent?
They do.
Who's they?
Social service. Okay.
And is that part of your 175?
I think so, yeah. But even so, you can't still live after that, though.
No, so you get 175 every 2 weeks, but they pay, your rent doesn't come out of that?
Yeah.
It does come out of that?
Yeah.
So $350 a month is what?
I'm paying $700 a month.
Yeah, so if you're getting $350 a month, your rent's not coming out of that.
No.
Okay, I thought you just said it was. And so your $750 is your rent, and that's paid for, right, by the government?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not just getting $350, you're actually getting $750 plus
$75 every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what you get in cash or in your bank, but they're also paying your rent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so you're getting $750 plus $350, really. And $750 of that's coming out, or $750 is coming out of your rent. Well, I don't know how that compares to most people. 175 each. I don't know all your personal circumstances, but what other circumstance do you have? Like, what's your situation, and why? How much should you be getting?
What?
I said, are you sharing your place with anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so you're both on social assistance, are you? Is it just the two of you?
What?
Is it just the two of you?
No, there's 6 on this side.
Okay, so it's a house in...
The sitting room.
Okay. And 175 every 2 weeks. So I don't know how that compares. I don't know how you're buying your food, and I mean your heat's paid for and your rent's paid for, correct? Out of...
Yeah.
Okay. And so you got $350 to do you every 2 weeks. So what are your expenses like in those 2 weeks?
What?
What are your expenses like in those 2 weeks? Like, what do you spend that $350? What do you spend it on?
Good. I spend it on grub and everything. And the price of grub now is unreal. The price of meat.
Are there any other? Are you subject to any other like sin taxes, as they say, or sin luxuries? Do you smoke or drink?
No.
Don't smoke, don't drink, don't do anything like that. So you're clean that way.
Nothing.
So it just goes to food.
Yeah, food.
And transportation?
No, I got no transportation. I got no wheels. I'll take the bus.
Okay. Do you work at all?
No.
Okay. So some might say, they wonder where the $350 will probably do you if you're not working. It's just like you're not disabled. There's no special other assistance that you're getting or anything like that.
No.
You just don't think 175 every 2 weeks is enough, obviously.
No, not enough to live on. Especially the price of meat now.
Especially what?
Price of meat.
Oh, the price of meat. Price of everything.
Yes, gone up.
Price of everything. Yep. You can't. Do you work? Do you try to work, or you can't work, or what stops you from working?
I can't work, but my back is at me and everything. I got a bad back. I can't work.
Did you work and you had to leave it, or what happened?
No, I didn't work at all.
Ever?
Not in my lifetime, no.
Well, I'll bet you there's people talking to the radio wondering why that's the case.
Yeah.
Why not work at all your entire life?
I don't know. My back gets at me now and then.
Yeah, I got a bad back too, but I don't know your situation, and I know lots of people with like ailments and that sort of thing, but they can still, carry on a job, or at least. Have you ever applied, or?
No, I never applied. No.
You ever thought about it?
No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Because I can guarantee you there's people at the radio yelling, no offense to you, but probably saying, well, I'd like to sit down and not work either and get $350 every couple of weeks and have my rent paid. And I'm just being the devil's advocate here.
I can't work at all, see?
So you can't. So a doctor has said you can't work at all, has he? Or she?
Yeah.
Due to your back?
Yeah.
And your entire lifetime?
Yeah.
So you've never worked at anything in your entire lifetime?
No, I tried, and every time I bend down, the deck gets at me.
And you can't get any treatment for it, and you've never had it fixed, or people said you can't get it fixed, it's permanent disability?
No, I can't get it fixed.
That must be boring, man, going through a field.
You
no
can't,
fixing it. No.
You can't get it fixed either. So you've never gone to a doctor to say, is there anything we can do about this, or a chiropractor, or anything like that?
No, they said, that's what they said, they can do nothing about it, she said. Put up with pain.
Because there's jobs out there that don't require bending down, right? Or bending,
no.
Right? Like, I mean, there's jobs out there, but...
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'll see what people have to think about this. You get $350 every couple of weeks. There's some people, I can guarantee you, wondering, how people can...
Yes, I get something $75 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
$175.
And that just goes straight to food and
food.
Well, I don't know how other people feel about it, but we'll certainly put it out there, Ryan, and see what people think if that's a reasonable amount of income for your situation. And
yeah, it is.
Other than that, you're healthy, are you?
What?
Other than that,
I'm healthy. Only from me back, that's all.
Yeah. Dave just whispered in my ear. He said, your buddy there might need a glass of water in the background.
Yeah.
Clear his throat a bit. Anyway, Ronnie, look, there's a lot of people in tough spots with absolutely no income, or they don't know where the next dollar's coming from, and they're trying to work, and they're trying. I mean, look, it's a tough go out there right now, no matter what. and people will suggest that, the income support and social assistance that they're getting is not keeping pace with the cost of living. I would suggest the same, but everybody's situation is different. So I'll wish you luck. Anything else you want to wrap up with?
No, that's it.
All right. Thanks for calling in and letting us know your situation. Right. Onward and upward. Good luck with it. And let me know if you ever land a job.
Okay.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Whoa, the email's on fire here today, and I will get to some of them if time permits, but callers are the priority. Natasha, such as on line 3, you're on the air.
Hello.
Good morning, Natasha. How are you?
Good morning. Not bad. Yourself?
Okay for a Monday, despite I try not to look out the window, to be honest.
I don't blame you.
How you doing? What's on your mind today?
Well, there's been a lot going on. I live in Newfoundland Labrador housing, and there's 8 houses in my row in the circle that have been gone now over almost 4 months without any hot water. We're after calling in. We have gymmed in on our side trying to get things done, and nothing has been done. Now we're here, and we have no water pressure for the last 4 or 5 days, and housing keeps giving us the runaround saying that nobody's calling in, and they're working on it, they said today. And I said, so it's taken 3.5 months to get the water working? Like, there's something that's seriously wrong. Like, we shouldn't have to live like this.
And you said a circle, so you're in Buckmaster Circle area here in the center city, downtown Marion?
I am, yeah.
Okay, and how many homes did you say? Like a whole block of what, 8?
There's 8 houses of us.
In one section of the circle?
Yes,
and no hot water for 4 months?
No hot water for almost going on 4 months, yeah.
So nothing, not even lukewarm, just...
Well, it'll get scalding hot for like 2 or 3 minutes to the point that it's that hot that it can like literally peel the skin right off your body. And then it's gone. Then you got to wait about like sometimes an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours, or boil the kettle just to be able to get some hot water to do your dishes and then fill up your bathtubs because you need to get a wash because we can't get a shower because it just goes as quick as it's there.
So the flow is there. So it's probably not a city pipe issue. It's, as you said, housing and probably a hot water boiler issue, that sort of thing?
Yeah, probably, yeah, but they told us there about 2.5 months ago, they told another neighbour that they were waiting on a part to come in. The part takes 3 weeks to come in, and then it takes about 3 hours to put on. So that was, like I said, a couple of months ago, and still waiting on the part. Then last Friday, we were supposed to have somebody come into all our homes to check this, make sure that there was nothing apparently turned off, and we all waited at home waiting for him to come, and they only went into one house. They never come to all our houses, and we're still here with the same issue. Nothing's being done.
Yeah, housing's under a little bit of pressure these days. Not good publicity either for a couple of Auditor General's reports of late that pointed to these very issues of either maintenance either put off or not working out or lack of staff or all that. But, the minister has been very clear about cleaning things up and making things run more efficiently at Newfoundland Labrador Housing. It sounds, again, we talked about this earlier. Communication is the key for me. When was the last time you had any chat with either the city, a councillor maybe, because they can, it may not be the city's fault, but a councillor can certainly go to bat for you. But when was the last time you spoke to anyone from housing or the city?
Today, this morning, I talked to somebody from housing just before I called you.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so you called and got an answer or an email or somebody came by or...
No, they answered the phone and they told me that they've been still trying to work on the issue. And I said to her, okay, so when are they working on the issue? Because we don't see nobody down in the boiler room to, be able to work on the issue. And it's been almost over 4 months, and nobody can give us answers of why this is happening. Like a couple of years ago, there was issues with the pipes, and housing put every one of us in our row in a hotel, and because the only reason why is because we couldn't flush our toilet. So here we are today with no hot water, and nothing is being done. We're being treated like we're nobody kind of thing.
So there's a history here to the point where you had to be put up in hotels before.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we know there's under pressure, staff-wise, whatever it is, trying to catch up on the derelict, some derelict in hard-shape housing units in this province that NLHC is, like, they're under the gun. It's not looked good, publicity-wise. They haven't had a great run of late with, as I said, with the Auditor General's reports, which pointed out that this very issue. It's as bad as it is, I'm not really surprised that they're stretching out the amount of time, or maybe that they initially told you it would take to get this fixed. And I mean, look, you might have hot water, but the sporadic nature of it, and you never know when it's coming. Scott, I know what you mean. I remember I had a tap like that, and boy, I'll tell you, I'm just looking for a warm cloth on my face in the morning, and the next thing you know, you got third-degree burns. That's happened to me before, so I could feel that when you said it. So you were speaking to him this morning. It's been 4 months, and the best they can tell you is, did they give you a close estimate as when they can get this looked at?
Nothing. The only thing they said is that they're working on it. That's it. And I said, I'd like to know where they're working to.
Yeah.
I mean, and the saddest part is if we get angry and stuff like that, then they're hitting us with eviction notice because we're trying to get things done, and...
Yep, nerves are frayed, and you really can't go down that route of getting angry and impolite and rude and ignorant. That will get you nowhere. Although the frustration is real, and there is a level of natural human frustration that comes with this because you're right in the middle of the city. Not that it should be any less or any more rural in rural parts of the province, but you're dead smack in the middle of the city. It's not like the resources to fix it are far away. The headquarters is 10 minutes from from Buckmasters, so I don't know why they can't give you a better estimate on time. I guess it's because of all the other work they have to do on the other units. So, I mean, I'd say you're in a queue somewhere. When they get to you, I guess they probably don't want to give you an exact date because they just can't.
I know that, but I mean, by rights, we ain't, we got small kids and,
Oh, God, yeah.
It's... You know what I mean? Like, every one of us in these homes got, kids, and, there's some that got kids that are, a year old, 6 months old, and if that was anywhere else, we ain't supposed to live like this. We're supposed to have our hot water and stuff. I even called income support and asked them, and I called Landlord Tenancy Act. They never contacted me back. I called them last week, and other resources that I called, and it's everybody's kind of afraid or something to even talk to housing, because they got so much pull, and it's you know what? I ain't afraid. Something has to be done. This is not fair. My daughter can't even get in the shower in the mornings like she likes to do going to school because she's flipping out. And same with another woman in my unit. Our kids got a routine and things, and their routines are ruined, and then they're flipping out. We got to listen to them because there's no hot water, or they're up in the shower and you're hearing them screaming because it's freezing cold.
And we're not talking about a luxury item here. This is just hot water, warm shower in the morning, and it also goes to the heart of health, good hygiene. If you're probably not going to get a cold shower because you never get them, and it is gross. Cold showers, depending on what. I mean,
I don't even like brushing my teeth in cold water. I have to have it warm, and I can't even do that because it's cold.
Yeah, like I said, you're not asking for special treatment here. And again, it can bleed right into the health realm, right? If the bad hygiene, access to just a good shower, a clean shower, and you said for kids too, it's really rough, and that's just an uncomfortable situation to be in. So it's unfortunate that they can't give you a better timeline and just get it done yesterday. But I would say they're so backed up with other issues. Depending on where you are in the queue, I'd say they're just afraid to give you an exact timeline because then they're locked into it, and there's no guarantees for them either. So
and then they don't want to hear me, I guess.
Well,
when the timeline's up and then it's not done, and then I calls in again.
Well, they're going to have to expect it as long as it's not fixed. So I don't blame you. Natasha, I got to get off to the break, but look, these calls are crucially important to get the message out to people. You can send emails and call all you want. Get on open line, and it becomes a public issue. And then the steamroll happens, right? The snowball effect, because I'm already getting a couple of emails here talking about the same thing. So keep me posted, Natasha. I always say it. I'm always looking forward to responses and see if there's any action done on these things.
Oh, I definitely will, for sure.
Okay. I hope you get a hot one soon and it doesn't burn you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 4. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi. I'm calling regarding the Landlord and Tenants Act. I'm a little nervous. It's my first time.
Well,
I have a tenant.
Welcome to the show, and take your time, and it's just you and me.
Okay. 6 months. This is June the 1st. No rent paid. I have no rights. She won't go. What do I do? I call the Landlord and Tenants Act. Oh, I have to file a dispute resolution, which I've done. So I paid for that on Friday. This is Monday. The tenant keeps telling me different stories. She's taken the bus. She's going to be gone. You know, I'm here parked in the parking lot outside of her unit. There's not a box to be seen that's packed. Her clothes are all still as if she has this happy-go-lucky life. She owes me over $10,000 in rent. Can somebody out there who's listening direct me on where to go? The Landlord and Tenants Act, you got to go through this procedure. The police don't want to get involved. The locksmith won't change the locks if she's here. The bailiff can't do anything unless he gets orders from St. John's. You know, I'm in Central. I can't wait for this any longer. She owes me over $10,000. So where are my rights? I'm a taxpayer, working my butt off to try to make a decent living, and then I have skeets like this who are just, you know, freeloading, walking around like they own the world.
It can be very frustrating. I hear arguments on both sides of this. Have you reached out to the Public Legal Information System?
And how do I do that?
Okay, so that's PLIAN. Their acronym is PLIAN. It's the Public Legal Information Association of Newfoundland and Labrador. And it's basically an independent, it's nonprofit, it's independent, it's a registered charity dedicated, you know, helping anyone in these situations to resolve disputes between, to resolve any kind of legal dispute, but specifically in your situation, it would be the Residential Tenancies Board that, that's an administrative board, of course, that handles complaints. I can give you the number. 1-877 829 2608.
Oh, I've talked to them. They're not calling me back.
Really?
Yeah, I left a message yesterday morning, an email. I called this morning twice urgently. I want her out of here today. We're in a new month. There's no money. Obviously, I'm not getting any money.
Are you in St. John's?
No, I'm in Central.
Okay. When it gets to this, you can always use the assistance of your MHA, dare I say. The chat we've had, the talk this morning about getting one to respond can be an arduous task. But I'm just scanning my mind here. You know, obviously an MHA is a start. PLIAN is a start. If you have your own lawyer, that would be a good way of going about it. But yeah, the PLIAN and the Residential Tenancies Board, those are your first stops. This is, I know how frustrating this is, and for you to be sitting out in the parking lot now, you know, just completely left in limbo by this, it's really unacceptable.
Well, it's unfair. You know, she had an emergency 10-day evacuation notice given to her on April the 19th. This is now June. She's still here. I call the Landlord and Tenants Act. You have to do this. I've done that. And it's all email. Can somebody not call me so I can speak to a person and get this rectified? Yeah. This is June. I have this unit rented, so now I have somebody coming from St. John's to come here to do a work term that I've promised this unit to, and I can't get this leach out.
It's got to be very frustrating. Do you have a formal contract in place for this tenant?
No. Listen, I know there's mental health issues out there. I suffer myself. But this is being used outside of the realm of what mental health is, okay? Because they go through social services, say they can't do this, they can't do that. Social services finds them a place to live. God loves them. We get our rent. Then they fall through the cracks and social services says, oh, it's your issue. You know, my apartments are beat to pieces. Nobody helps me fix them. I get a new tenant in. Oh, yeah, we're going to be all that in a piece of cake. 3 months later, I'm going through the same processes. And it's unfortunate that I'm going to say that I am not going to be renting to anybody that does not have a legitimate job anymore. Now, isn't that sad? Because people have turned me so negative toward them.
Yep. No, it'll do it.
I don't know. I could be on the service next month, you know?
Yeah.
I know it's there for people that need it, but when you're getting it and you're abusing the people that are offering you a roof over your head, which is one of the most important elements of, you know, safety and security in Newfoundland and Labrador. This is ridiculous. ridiculous.
It is, and it's extremely frustrating, and it's one of these, I don't want to call it a loophole, when you have situations where it's bandied back and forth and they have extenuating circumstances that can override any kind of a lease agreement or rental agreement. That's what PLIAN is for. That's what this public legal information organization is for. And you have to get a response from that. I'll call them out right now. I mean, at least to know and get an assessment of your options, Just
I don't want to know. I want her out. This has been going on for over a year. She has to go.
Is she alone?
And there's no immediate, there's no immediate emergency housing here. What am I going to do with my dogs? Well, I'm not worried about your dogs. You are not making an effort here. Like I said, there's no evidence of her trying to pack to move. She's been out, had 3 or 4 cigarettes, just goading me and talking as I have my window up with hand gestures and stuff. Go away, get your things packed, and get off my property. So now she says she's going to call the police because I'm intimidating her because I'm on her property.
Well, it's legally your property, is it not?
Right? It's my property, and I should be allowed to go in there and say, get out of my unit, but I can't do that. So I'm waiting for the Landlord and Tenants Association to call me back to get this dispute resolution to the bailiff, who can issue a direct order to the bailiff here in Grand Falls, now isn't that something, to come and physically move her.
When it comes to this, sometimes I was just going to say, until the police come, maybe that's what you need, push come to shove, even though you could...
well, police won't come because there's no physical violence. No, it's the bailiff. So when I call the local bailiff, he can't do anything until he gets something from the bailiff in St. John's, who can't do anything until he gets something from the Landlord and Tenants Association.
Yeah,
so you tell me.
I was kind of referring to the fact that you said she said she was going to call the police. In that case, maybe that's, that might not be in her best interest if she's not following.
Well, she called them, and apparently she called them, and they said no, they're not coming. Yeah. But irregardless, I don't trust that. I don't feel safe here, but I'm not leaving. This is my property.
How frustrating is? I can't even imagine. And again, have you tried the MHA just for? My buddy would say SHITs and giggles. Pardon?
Yeah, right. I don't even know who my MHA is. I've been away that long.
Where do you live exactly? So you're in Central. Do you want to say? You don't have to say what town if you want. Or
Grand Falls, Windsor.
Okay. So is that not Chris Tibbs' neck of the woods?
It used to be, but see, I don't know because there was a change in government since I left.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Chris Tibbs. I'll go out on that limb, and if it's not, I'm sure the actual MHA will correct me. So either way, I'll hear from one of them, and the right one.
Okay, well, hopefully.
Or even be corrected. But I would go that route as well, at least to call the office, the local office, and just ask them again, go with your options and find out, because this is just too frustrating. It's you're going around in circles, right?
Yep. And meanwhile, the longer she's here, the more money I'm out.
Yeah, and you have somebody coming for that unit.
Exactly, right?
Yep. Extremely frustrating.
I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm nervous. I'm upset. I'm everything. I'm trying to be a good person here, and these people are turning me into a maniac with the way I respond to them. It's like, go get a life and stop trying to belittle mine. I worked hard to get where I am. Try it. It works.
Yep. It can beat your head against a brick wall. And look, we have enough pressures on us these days as it is, without having to have these, wrenches thrown into it where people are just frustrating you to no end, your own property, and Okay, so I would do the MHA thing, and I would put in another call to residential tenancies with PLIAN, and you know what? I'm going to even send a note, just because this is, I can send a general note on this and just ask them, are you guys, are you backlogged? Are you looking into these complaints? How many do you have? In a general sense, try to get an idea.
Well, I have deadlines. I have to get her out. I have to get the unit clean for the new tenant. I have things to do. She has to go, and it's been over a year, and I've got nothing but just run around.
I'm going to send a note. I'm going to send a note too, and just see if it's an overall problem. They won't probably tell me anything specific and personal to your situation, obviously, and I don't expect them to. But at least I can get an update on whether or not they're responding to these kinds of complaints.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the call. Thanks for bringing it to light, and let's hope we get a resolution very soon. Thanks again for the call.
Okay, thank you very much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Right to line number one, and the leader of the NDP in Newfoundland and Labrador and the MHA for St. John's Centre, Jim Dinn, you're on the air.
Thanks for having having me on there, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thanks for making time. I know you wanted to respond to Natasha with the water issues in Buckmaster Circle right off the top, and then I might have a question or two about a couple of other issues that are on the plate. Go for it.
No problem. No, we had met, my constituency assistant and I had met with several of the residents affected by the hot water on Friday. So we will be today more or less getting the authorization forms from the rest, but we will be going to Newfoundland and Labrador Housing, and I will be speaking directly to the minister on this one. It's happened before. I remember in 2021 during the election, there was a whole row of people on Brigade Street who had no heat. They had put in space heaters, and at that time they had no access to hot water as well. After that, I think they started putting people into hotels if they had major work like this. But from what I'm talking to the people who they've been without this. This has been like this for several months now, since December at least. And I guess the part that I have problems with is or trouble understanding is why it takes so long to get a part. I realize it's not like my own furnace or anything like that, but at the same time, it shouldn't take that many months to get a part. So that's something we're following up today. And any of the people there who weren't able to meet with us on Friday, we are pursuing it, and we're hoping to have an answer by the end of the day.
What's the part?
That I don't know, and I'm not sure what it is. But obviously, talking to the people there, you could end up with cold water 1 minute, scalding hot water another, and if you've ever had hot water heated by a furnace, it can be scalding hot. So anyone in a shower, it's one thing for the water to go cold, another thing for it to go scalding hot. So they've been dealing with this for it's not just a month or a few weeks, but for several months. So it's a problem, and one that they reached out to, and we are following up with it today. Hopefully we'll have an answer, and if nothing else, Brian, we'll have it, let them know what the answer is, and we'll certainly give you a ring and just let you know your so you can pass it on as well at tomorrow's show.
Yeah, it's dangerous and a health risk. It's in a shower especially, and all of a sudden it just switches over. So Casey, you can't do that. So time is of the essence.
And if you're a child in a bathtub,
right.
I mean, I look at it's one thing if you're bathing a child. I mean, I look at my grandchildren. I mean, the fact is, if 1 minute's going from lukewarm, comfortable to cold and scalding hot, it can cause some serious burns, right? So we are following up on it. It shouldn't have taken this long, and that was during the winter, by the way, when they were dealing with most of this. But it's really a bit too long to have this repaired. It should have been. I don't know. We will find out what the reason for why the wait and get some answers. But more importantly, I think for the people who we met with, it's about having it restored to some, I guess, acceptable level. I think the fact that they put up with it for several months, they're more than patient.
Yeah, and so I don't have a lot of time left, but was there anything else you wanted to get through, just so I give you opportunity?
No, I heard that. I wanted to respond to that. If you had another question, by all means. Yeah,
look, there's several things, a myriad of things, but specifically on Horizons 106. So the Auditor General's report, I'm not going to get into all of it, but the one thing that still kind of is in my craw is the fact that they're not going to fill those other 30 rooms for the rest of this year. So I had a couple of questions. I haven't had them answered yet. One is there anyone at all in those rooms right now, or are they completely going vacant while we still have homeless people? And why leave them vacant? I kind of had to read between the lines with Minister Jody Wall's comments, because he seemed to suggest that if we put them in there now, it's just more difficult. They get settled, then you got to transition them into some other place, and it's an administrative or could be a nightmare for them if you got to move them again right away. Is that your understanding? Like these rooms are just going to be left till the end of the year when the release runs out, and then they'll find new places for everybody?
That would be my question. But to your point, there are people who could at least be, let's say, who are sleeping in the rough right now still, that could be put in there and transition. My issue is, and I've spoken to the minister about this too, is what are the resources, where are you going to put them, and what are the resources you're going to put in place so that they're not back on the street or into the justice system or so on and so forth as a result of this. The other part of it, I guess, Brian, is that if you or I were employees there right now, what would be our thought, knowing that the place that is going to be shut down and I could be out of a job? I guess you could also start looking at positions elsewhere, either within the province or outside the province. So, to me, I would be concerned if the money is going into it, then if there's a way of getting people temporarily housed, is something that I would support, at least until you can get them transition, but into something permanent. I would suggest also, I think, too, from my, when you look at it, the trauma of remaining homeless and in a shelter or whatever else probably far outweighs the trauma of or the inconvenience of being moved in and now and then moved out several months from now is my thought. I mean, I think I'd rather have a place that supports, and maybe there's an opportunity to have a more put more people in to give them the supports they need to get into housing. But apart from that, I still think that whole process, the way government reacted to it, they do what they usually did, and that was react in a knee-jerk reaction and claim that it was urgent. But I would say, if you've heard me or heard any housing advocate speak to this is a problem that you could see coming a mile away. So you had time. You could have done something, establish a more permanent solution, similar to, like, you look at Chespenny, Stella's, and a number. In talking to the minister, I know that's something, one of the options they're looking at multiple options right now, and one of them might be maybe a sort of like a purpose-built. We don't know, but right now I did have the conversation with the minister on Thursday, and I said it's important to me that the people aren't just put into a place and left there without supports, and we have a repeat of everything we've had before. So I will be watching this. It's a concern because we're not making lives easier on the people who are there, on the people in the neighborhoods, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, no, the issues are all there. And again, it's just the idea of space left vacant while we have this issue. I know what you're saying. The wraparound supports are critical because that's what made this place effective, right? It had the one-stop shopping, if you will. But anyway, Jim, look, I really appreciate the time. Thanks for, being a responsive MHA, because as you've been listening, you may have been listening to the show. We haven't had a lot of it today, any responses. So either to us or the people who need it. So thanks very much again. Look forward to the chat all the time.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Alrighty, that does it for the Monday. Thanks to Jim Dinn there. And we'll love the callers. And of course, we'll take your emails. Didn't get to a lot of them today because we're so busy. Keep the good news coming here on Open Line. We love it. We want to balance that out with all the heavy stuff we're all dealing with. Not the least of which is the weather. Drive safely, everybody out there. Arrive Alive, VOCM cares.